Hi everyone, I am Chrissi Kelly from Abscent, and I am here to welcome you today to World Taste and Smell Day. I'm delighted to be here to talk to you, and also would like to thank the organizers for asking me to contribute to this special day. As I'm sure you're aware, World Taste and Smell Day is there so that we can appreciate, to raise awareness of taste and smell and appreciate these senses, which are very often sort of seem to be an afterthought and a trivial pursuit. So let's take a look at that. And while we're at it, we can raise awareness about people who have lost their sense of smell. And in particular today, I would like to talk to you a little bit about parosmia. But first, for any of you who don't know who I am someone who's been living with a smell disorder since 2012, when I lost my sense of smell after a virus. I have been very interested in olfactory training and have worked with that for since 2015. And I then founded Abscent because I wanted to create an environment where people could come together and talk about what was going on with their smell disorder and find people who would commiserate with them and who really understood what it was like. Because very often when people lose their sense of smell, they always say it's so difficult to describe, and even my family doesn't get it. So that's how the Absent platforms got going back in 2019 when the charity opened. And of course, then came the pandemic, and well, here we are. So let's see. I would like to, as I mentioned, I've got a little demonstration for you today. I've done this a number of times. I think it's quite interesting. And it's really about, I'd like you to think about the way parosmics go about deciding what to eat. Now, if you are a normosmic, and that is to say you've got no smell disorder, you may be surprised by doing this experiment at home. And if you are a parosmic and you do the same test, you might either hold your nose and refuse to eat, or you may, if you are able to eat these things, you will nibble on them and say, oh yes, I know exactly what she's talking about. So it goes back to some research that I did together with my two research colleagues, Assistant Professor Jane Parker of the University of Reading and Simon Gain, who is an ENT consultant at UCLH at the Royal National ENT and Eastman Dental Hospital. And we did some research on what it was about coffee that people were finding so difficult to tolerate if they had parosmia. And that was really one of the very first things that came out of the social media platform that I established, was that I noticed that there were these sort of clusters of foods that people were talking about as being disgusting. And so when I met Jane and put this question to her, she said, oh, I think I may know what's going on there. And some years on, we have now published a paper together with Simon, and in that paper, Jane has identified aroma chemicals that are creating this experience of disgust in parosmics. So that paper is, anyone can read it online. The next thing I'd like to talk to you about is another food group that people mention frequently if they have parosmia, and that is cucumbers, lettuce, and melon. And that's what I have here on my plate. So I've got some little gem lettuce leaves, which I've just recently broken off. If you want to do this exercise, what you're looking for are lettuce leaves that when you break them off, there's that kind of white milky sap. So if you're getting bagged lettuce, that will probably have dried up and not be so strong in flavor. This is fresh. I just washed this, and I've got some, I think it's honeydew melon, green melon, and some cucumber. And for this exercise, which I have done, as I said, both for parosmics as well as normosmics, I'd like you to sort of nibble a little piece of one. And like I said, it's the base of the leaf that has the most of this flavor. That's quite strong, verging, I think, on bitter. And now I'm going to try the cucumber. And to me, it jumps straight out. It's the same flavor in both of them. Now melon, we consider this a fruit, of course, because it's sweet, but in reality, it belongs to the same family as the cucumbers and a lot of other vegetables that grow like that on a vine. And yes, it's sweet, but once again, that flavor just jumps out to me as being very, very strong. When I was just recovering from my very first smell loss, which was profound, I had probably 6 months of not smelling anything. Then I had slight inklings, no organized sense of smell, nothing I could really recognize. And then that went on to become parosmia, really quite bad parosmia. And I remember clearly about 2 years in, I attended a wedding and I walked into a large banqueting room, and there was a table at the end of the room, so all the way at the other end of the room, with some jugs of water and ice cubes filled with cucumber slices. And when I walked into the room, I thought, what is that smell? And it was the smell that I later associated with cucumber. And I recently put a couple of posts on our various social media feeds to ask people about their experience of melon, cucumber, and lettuce. And what is interesting to me is that for many people, it's a strikingly strong flavor and smell. So that interests me. For some people, it's very, very strong, but palatable. And for other people, it's very, very strong and not palatable. So we will leave Jane and perhaps Simon someday to look into that. But in the meantime, you can join me in this little experiment. And the other thing that I'd like to say about what happens when I do this with people is that those who have no problem with their sense of smell will often say, I'm not sure exactly. They might say, well, maybe a little bit, I notice some sort of similarity, but I don't get it the way you can tell a parosmic gets it. So that's my demonstration. And just if you can remember that for a parosmic who is really alert to these offensive aroma chemicals, they are always on the lookout for how their preferences are developing. So they're changing all the time, sometimes even within weeks. And they have to make choices about what they eat based on their vigilant attention to these things that bother them so much. So that's a little bit about the way life is for people who have parosmia. I hope that this has been interesting for you. I wish the World Taste and Smell Day the best of luck. I'd like to thank you again for including me. And let's hope that in the new year we see more treatments, more empathy, and lots of new ideas to help people enjoy food, no matter what their sense of smell and taste. So that's it from me. Thank you very much for your attention. Bye-bye.